my somnambulistic disposition. Had a long day on the Benghazi committee yesterday. And, I was actually watching at home. Watching Lynn Westmoreland. Suddenly blue. Oh, really great day. So it's a relief to be here. And at the same time, by the way, there was an interesting presentation taking place in like the room next door on Palestinian incitement. They had the same hearing 2 years ago with the same panelists. They always bring them out, you know, Robert Satloff from WNEP and some other neocon and Elliot Abrams. I don't know what expertise Abrams brings. Actually, Abrams has great expertise in incitement. I don't know if you remember his wife's famous essay calling for the full genocide of Palestinians, his late wife, Rachel Abrams, but he's an expert on incitement, so I'm glad he was able to testify. And I'm going to talk about that towards the end of my remarks. I was talking to my friend Dorgam here, and he made a good point, which is that Israelis are always complaining that Palestinians want to throw them into the sea. But the sea is actually being thrown into Palestinians now. The Egyptian military junta of Abdel Fattah, more Zionist than Netanyahu, Sisi, is actually pumping seawater into the tunnels, which used to be one of the major sources of, you know, the supplies for life in the Gaza Strip. Arutz Sheva, which is a right-wing settler media outlet, has reported that Egypt will ultimately place put sea creatures in the tunnels to prevent people from swimming through, and crocodiles, and it's building a moat around Gaza, which really takes the current dystopian reality to a Hunger Games, District 9 scenario. And you know, I don't trust the credibility of this site. It was celebrating the crocodile implantations, but it's plausible at this point. Now I want to talk about some of the broader outlines and policies that have led us to this dystopian, post-apocalyptic point. I discussed some of them in my book, The 51-Day War, and I think they help explain Gaza in a broader context, help explain what's happening in Jerusalem, what's happening in the West Bank. And it really starts with a single term, Hebrew term, which explains the policy, hafrada, which means separation. It's a particular kind of separation. It's about ethnic separation. It's not just about physical separation. And there is a cynical logic behind it. I want to talk about the consequences of hafrada across the Holy Land, but particularly in Gaza. One of the architects of this policy is named Arnon Sofer. He is the co-founder of Haifa University. He is, you know, one of the figures who is an educator within the Israeli military intelligence apparatus. He was a close advisor to Ariel Sharon. He convinced Sharon to do the Gaza disengagement and to build the separation wall in and around the West Bank. Sofer said he did so not because it would stop peace or a Palestinian state, because it would bring more Jews under direct Israeli control. So you're pulling Jews out of the Gaza Strip and placing them in large part in Ariel and in the major settlement blocks. Arnon Sofer's Sofer, I think in Hebrew means counter. So they call him Arnon the Arab counter. He's a demographic advisor. His advice is all about maintaining the ethnic purity of the Jewish state. So hafrada, the logic behind hafrada is guided and animated by demographics, the maintenance of a Jewish majority. Sofer said that after the Gaza disengagement, in an interview with the Jerusalem Post, Islamic extremism will reign in Gaza, the pressure at the frontiers of the Gaza Strip will be so immense, and we will have to kill and kill and kill every day, all day. Those are his exact words. And those words were put into action. After the disengagement of 2005, the major settlement blocks were retrenched through the letter by George W. Bush to Ariel Sharon guaranteeing that Ariel and Ma'ale Adumim, the main settlements that separate Jerusalem from the West Bank, would be part of a future Israeli state in any negotiations. Dov Weissglass, who was an advisor to Sharon, and who has been a figure, by the way, who's been important in developing the Palestinian Authority community of Rawabi, said that the disengagement of Gaza would put the peace process in formaldehyde, that it would basically freeze the peace process and allow the settlements to basically become a part of whatever Israel wanted its territory to be. But the most important thing to understand is the doctrine, which manifested Sofer's chilling prophecy. It's called the Dahiya doctrine. It's named after the southern quarter of Beirut, which is a base of support for Hezbollah, the Shia militia, and which was substantially destroyed by the Israeli Air Force in 2006 and during the failed invasion of southern Lebanon. So after the destruction of the Dahiya quarter, Gadi Eisenkot, who was then the northern commander of the Israeli army, who has been promoted to Israeli Army Chief of Staff, gave an interview to Yaron London, who's a popular Israeli media personality, and London summarized his remarks. From now on, every Lebanese citizen is Hassan Nasrallah, and every resident of the Gaza Strip is Khalid Mashal. That is the essential guiding logic of the Dahiya doctrine, that short of a military solution to Hamas or Hezbollah, there is none. The Israeli military intelligence community concluded there was no military solution. The civilian population would be the target of any future assaults. Civilian infrastructure would be destroyed, and there's a psychological component to this as well that I'll illustrate for you. And this has all been spelled out in material produced by the Institute for National Security Studies. It's no secret at this point. First of all, this policy has been borne out through the targeting of entire families. B'Tselem produced a report on Israel's open fire policy, which found that 25% of those killed actually it's a higher number than that. I've seen reports that 89 families lost most or all members. That was in Haaretz. 68 families is another figure I've seen. The Associated Press concluded that over 850 people were killed at home, in their homes at night, in these targeted attacks on family homes. So that's an aspect of the Dahiya doctrine. Another aspect is the use of not only 1,000-pound Mark 82 dumb bombs, fin-guided dumb bombs, which are produced in the U.S., and 2,000-pound bombs. But now we're seeing 5,000-pound GBU bunker buster bombs being used against family homes. These were used in the assassination attempt on Al-Qassam Brigade General Commander Mohammed Deif, which wiped out his whole family. These are provided to the state of Israel they have been provided primarily by the Obama administration. 18,000 GBU bunker buster bombs were shipped to Israel to mollify them during the negotiations around the Iran deal, and now there are negotiations underway. Secretary of State John Kerry's there now to bribe Israel again after the Iran deal, as Yusuf discussed earlier, with 5,000-pound bunker buster bombs. These will be used inevitably if there's another operation against the Gaza Strip, against families in their homes at night while they're sleeping.